everybody, Jason here from Ghostbusters News, and I think that we can all agree, at least for those that grew up playing with Kenner's The Real Ghostbusters toy line, that the Ghostbusters Firehouse headquarters, it was one of the best playsets ever made. And there were so many great things about this playset, among my favorite being the ectoplasm slime grate. In fact, I think you can see some hardened ectoplasm residue which has been there since likely the early 1990s. Of course, there was also the functioning fire pole that you just needed to try, oftentimes ending in chaos. Despite not having a basement, it also included a containment unit and oversized ghost trap, as well working front doors that allowed the Ghostbusters to race to their next call inside the Ecto-1. But what if we could make that playset even better? And I know that idea to some that might seem scandalous, but yeah, the old Kenner Firehouse, it certainly did have some faults. This included the toy not really matching up all that well to the source material. And while you certainly could park the Ecto-1 inside, yeah, it didn't really leave too much floor space left. And in speaking about the Ecto-1, when you attach to the included gunner seat, it didn't allow clearance through those double doors. I mean, try all you want, you're not getting through. Oh, sorry, Lewis. And looking at the exterior, lots of creative liberties were taken here, with Kenner seemingly making the New York City Firehouse headquarters look kinda run down. So again, I love that Kenner Ghostbusters Firehouse, but as I just showed you, as you know, yeah, it certainly wasn't perfect. In fact, it was far from perfect, which is why today, we're gonna start a new build here on the channel, and it could prove to be the best, the most toyetic Ghostbusters Firehouse like ever made. But before we kind of start this build today, a bit of a backstory. As over the Halloween season here on the Ghostbusters News YouTube channel, I 3D printed and constructed a real Ghostbusters proton pack. And as I said in those videos, I am not a maker. And the fact that this thing came out looking so good, it's a testament to the printer, which was a Bamboo Lab X1 Carbon, as well as the designer of those files, Nathan Miller, otherwise known as Ghostbusters Gear. Right now you're taking a look at his Patreon page, and if you are a Ghostbusters fan, if you are a 3D print enthusiast, yeah, I totally recommend signing up. We got a link to it down below in this video's description. Not only did Miller, he made those files available to print that real Ghostbusters proton pack, but recently he started a brand new project, which, if you couldn't already tell by all my ramblings in this video, is an updated take on the Ghostbusters Firehouse headquarters. And while I thought I would have a bit more of a gap in between big print projects, no, I'm going to jump right from that proton pack to this Ghostbusters Firehouse. Because after seeing the initial concept of it, I knew this was something I needed to make. This was something I need here in the Ghostbusters News collection room. And that's despite not having any room left, really, in this room. Which I mean, it could be a problem, because I think this firehouse is going to be big. It's going to be really, really big. Alright, so we're going to get started here by printing the flooring of the firehouse, and it has been made to mimic the floor that you see in that old Kenner playset. I printed it in this matte gray, which, by the way, for anyone who'd like to follow this build themselves, matching the colors, I'm going to include a link to all those PLA filaments below in this video's description. So the flooring itself, it is made up of 12 individual pieces, and they just like interlock with one another. All you really need is just to glue them in place. So quite a bit of glue, a little bit of patience, and this is what you're left with. And I know just a minute ago I alluded to the size of this thing, and yeah, it's going to be massive. From there, we're going to add this stone block detail, which is going to be pretty much the base of the firehouse. Again, all you got to do, put a little bit of glue down, and they fit securely in place. They line up all alongside that sidewalk, and then from there, we're going to be busting out some marble PLA. And let me tell you, this stuff, it prints like a dream. Like, at first glance, to me, this does not look like a 3D printed piece, like, at all. It comes out so clean, and I love this very much, well, marble brick-like effect that it gives. That right there was one of the sides of the archway, and let's go ahead and attach these two together here, making the front end. Adding a little bit more detail underneath, or I guess maybe I should say inside, we've got this black support treatment. I've also went ahead and printed out this crest, which I did print in an antique gold. Now I may go back and add some paint to this, because the crest that hangs outside of Hook and Ladder is both black and gold, but for right now, I'm more than happy with this. I kind of got a little ahead of myself when making this tutorial, this walkthrough, this video build series. Because, yeah, I've already built this whole entire sidewall here. I've also began adding a few more little details here and there, which include the window frames and this side door, which surprisingly, I didn't even need to glue into place as they all just snapped right in. Working our way up, it's time to give the firehouse a little bit more character, and that comes from these slightly higher sidewalls. The base of the structure is more of that marble PLA, but we're going to be printing the brick detail separately, which as you're seeing right here, you can just glue right on top of. And if you decide to build one of these firehouses for your collection, yeah, I mean, you can print the brick whatever color you want. I mean, you can print the base of the firehouse whatever color you want. Me, myself, I'm going to be going with a kind of like an idealized toyetic take on the Ghostbusters Firehouse. However, another option that I want to show you is what Nathan Miller, Ghostbusters gear, he did, where he actually did black walls, which can be seen in the original 1984 Ghostbusters. Looks pretty slick, doesn't it? Jumping ahead a bit, we've got the majority of the red brickwork. It's in now. As well, I've also added in the front structure and window treatment. At the front here, it does read hook and ladder, and you likely already noticed them earlier, but I also attached the blue and white stars on the building's front end. So at this point, really the only thing left to add is going to be the top of the firehouse, kind of like the crown of the building, which I still need to 3D print. So let's, edit and like cut into the future. Many hours, likely a couple days for all these items to be 3D printed, put together, and attached. Editor, do your magic. And here it is, and I know I already mentioned it earlier, but I seriously cannot get over how big this build is. Like seriously, I have absolutely no clue where I'm going to put this thing, but does it ever look awesome? Oh, and a must-have detail that I cannot skip over here is the Ghostbusters sign out front. Which I should add here, I did make it removable, so eventually, if I choose to, I can swap it with the Ghostbusters 2 logo. Now from this video's title, and as I mentioned earlier, this is going to be a build series. Nathan Miller, Ghostbusters gear, whatever you want to call him, he is currently designing the interior of this firehouse, and this is going to include multiple floors, likely a slime grate, the front doors, a pole, and so much more. Of course, once those files, they're ready, I'm going to download them, I'm going to 3D print them, and I'm going to add them right into this Ghostbusters Firehouse because I cannot wait to finish this. But being that we have the main structure pretty much finished here, I'm sure quite a few of you're curious as to how this firehouse, it scales alongside popular Ghostbusters toy lines. Well, it just so happens that Hasbro's new Ghostbusters Frozen Empire Ecto-1, it just arrived at the Ghostbusters News headquarters today. So here's what that inside the firehouse looks like, alongside Phoebe and the disgusting green spud, Slimer. Now if you want to go old school, and of course we have to go old school, it's Ghostbusters after all, here's some of the Kenner Classic toys, including the Ecto-1 inside the firehouse. Not only is there tons of room still on the ground floor with the Ecto-1 resting inside, but when you have to answer that call, when you have to drive through those front doors, check it out with that roof seat attached, it pulls through with absolutely no issues. I guess while we're at it too, let's go ahead and bring in Hasbro's Plasma Series line. Is it 1-to-1 scale? Well, no, but I think it totally works and creates an incredible display piece or backdrop for action figure photography. And given that I do so many unboxings and reviews here on the channel, yeah, this custom playset is likely going to be used one way or another in future review videos. I did mention it earlier in the video, but I just want to reiterate here, if you yourself, you would like to start your very own Ghostbusters Firehouse build, all these files, they're available on Ghostbusters Gear's Patreon page. Link, of course, is down below in the description. Also, if for some odd reason you're not subscribed here to the Ghostbusters News YouTube channel, correct that right now. Hit that subscribe button and be the first to watch the second episode, the second video in this build series when, we actually start adding some of the interior details to this just massive firehouse. Where am I going to put this thing? I have no idea where I'm going to put it here. So with that said, that does it for this one. If you would like to join up with Ghostbusters News, wouldn't you know it, we also have a Patreon page. That link is also down below, and we will see you right back here next time.